Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Vintage Fountain Pens. Today, I have for you a special and a rare fountain pen from Hungary, the 1950s. We have the model Extra. As you can see, it comes in this beautiful brown celluloid. This is the logo imprinted on the cap. You can see Extra and the beautiful celluloid material. This fountain pen comes from period in European manufacturers of fountain pens, which I love. We are talking about the 1950s. I bought with me some examples of fountain pens from the 1950s, and the majority are made in Germany. You will see lots of influences in this Hungarian fountain pen from the German industry. And I will start with a classic, affordable student fountain pen from Montblanc, the Monte Rosa, from the early 50s. As we are speaking about Montblanc, this is the famous masterpiece or Meisterstück 146 from the beginning of the 50s. You can see this beautiful logo, which has this yellow patina. We will put this here. I also have a Caveco Dia 802G from the 1950s. I also have a Lamar made also in Germany in the 1950s. And I will show you a little characteristics of this fountain pen. You can observe firstly, let's start with the cigar shape or the torpedo shape. The cap which unscrews and it reveals this interesting ink window, and the blind cap. This cap which unscrews and it reveals the piston mechanism. So you can see this is, let's take a zoom. You can see that this is a Lamar made in Germany, an export model, but an iconic model from that period. An iconic, although it's a rare model, it has all the traits of the 1950s fountain pens made in Germany. I also have a 1950s fountain pen which has lots of characteristics of the 1940s and 1930s manufacture, but this is a East German fountain pen made in the 1950s. Of course, you can see the ink window, and you can see also the blind cap. I also have another fountain pen from the 1950s Germany, this Luxor fountain pen, which has the same characteristics. So torpedo shape, remember the transparent ink window, and the same blind cap and the same system. I also have for you a Pelican 140, the Gruner, all green, dark green, from the 1950s. The same transparent ink window, but this time we don't have a blind cap. When you turn this ending, you can see that the piston works. So no blind cap on this one. But an interesting non-German fountain pen, but also a pen that has lots of influence from the German fountain pen industry. This time it's design of the 50s, torpedo shape, but it has its origins in the Barclay model from the 1940s. This particular model is a model made in 1950s by the state-owned company Centropen. Remember, by that time Czechoslovakia was occupied and all the pen industry was nationalized. So we have the central pen right here. Before I will enter the details of the extra fountain pen, I thought it was proper to show you the context and the fountain pens that were available in the 1950s. What you see, they're all made out of celluloid, less the last fountain pen, which is solid silver fountain pen. I will also leave the dimensions of the extra fountain pen on the screen, and you will have an idea about its length and weight. And now I will return to the Hungarian fountain pen, the extra fountain pen. I must confess that I didn't find much information on the internet about the extra pen company, but I did a little research and I found out that there were quite a number of Hungarian producers, and they practically had the same system. They were all piston fillers, and they had this blind cap at the end. Some of them were producing attractive celluloid patterns, like this model, which I found very interesting. This brownish celluloid with this interesting patina to it. You can see a wonderful looking celluloid. Like I said, they had similar traits or designs like the German models from that period, from the 1950s. And I believe that all were made in small Budapest workshops in limited production numbers, perhaps even using some German parts. Even in communist times, they could use, and we find on the market, cheap USA steel nib that equipped those products. Practically in 1935, before the start of the World War II, the Hungarian fountain pen market demanded 1,000 fountain pens per week. So the needs of fountain pens in Hungary in a year were about 50,000 pieces in a year. The certain parts of the Hungarian pens, like I've mentioned, the gold nibs, for example, the celluloid material, the galatite material, the ivory raw material, were of a foreign origin, but 75% of the value of the finished products, of the finished fountain pens, remained in Hungary. So it was quite a profitable market, and that's why lots of producers appeared on the scene. You can see the beautiful celluloid. The clip has this plastic part, and you can see this clip, the plain looking clip. We have also two gold plated bands, but you can see that in time they developed this patina. And I have also a problem, and I have to restore this fountain pen with the ending of the clip. Let's give it a zoom. Okay, so it doesn't fit well because it was held by these canals, and you can see that those are affected by the ink, the corrosion of the ink. It definitely needs some restoring work. Like I said, the cap unscrews, and we can see the grip section. Here it is the ink window. We have the nib, the grip section, and the ink window. And I will try using a flashlight to show you. You can see the ink window. It has lots of impurities, and it is just dried ink. over time. It has this amber color, interesting color. You can see that it is quite hard to see if we don't have a light source at the end of it. The grip section is characteristic of the design of the German fountain pen, is slightly concave. What I found interesting about this steel nib, gold plated steel nib, you can see that the gold plating remained at the inferior part of the nib. We have iridium rhythm, iridiu, but not an M. So just iridiu. And I hope you can see, and I hope this camera focuses on that interesting imprint. It looks like a head, a human head, or a head of an animal. I don't know if you know this about me, but I love to have in my collection nibs with interesting imprints of animals, crowns, or other logos which I found interesting. The end of the nib, it has this ebonite feed. We continue with the barrel. You know that we have this blind cap. I love the fact that it matches the celluloid of the body. And at the end of the clip, we have this metallic ending, nice looking ending. Unfortunately, when I try to rotate the system, it is stuck. So this fountain pen needs restoration and cleaning, but it is a wonderful, wonderful example of the small fountain pen industry in Hungary during the 1950s. It definitely shows the source of inspiration, the German influence on it, but it is quite a wonderful, wonderful model, and I'm glad that I have it in my collection. And just for you to know, I paid only 30 euros, so a reasonable sum for it. 30 euros including shipping cost. I think it was a bargain, although it hasn't golden nib. This is quite a rare fountain pen, and for me it is a proud member of my collection. Although the Extra is a rare brand of fountain pens, I've managed to find on the site toppens.com a few examples of Extra fountain pens, and I will leave them and I will share them with you here. For the writing sample, I will use the Parker Quick ink because of the fact that we don't have a functional filling mechanism. I will just dip the fountain pen in the ink. Okay. I will use a little tissue to clean the grip section, and remember to close the ink bottle to avoid accidents. And now we are ready for the writing sample. This is an Extra fountain pen made in Hungary in the 1950s. It has a beautiful celluloid brown material, nice color and nice pattern. It has a steel nib with an interesting imprint on it. I think that this is an M nib, a medium nib. Although you can see it's not in a perfect shape. Let us zoom. You can see that the tines are very close to one another, and it seems a little crooked to me. It's not straight. The interesting fact is this particular nib doesn't scratch. It could be also a very fine nib. Let's see if we have some variations. And yes, when I try to push on the tines, you can see that we have this breakthrough. Let's focus a little bit. Okay, you can see that it is a springy nib, but due to the fact that the tines are misaligned, it tends to scratch. So, interesting fact, we have a steel nib, but it is a semi-flex nib. It needs a little bit of work to it. Now that I have applied the pressure, it scratches. And let's zoom. You can see now. You see the two lines. Okay, one is visible, the other is barely visible. I think that this is a nice nib, and maybe I can find some person that could do work on it, and maybe it will bring it to its former glory. What can I say? Thank you for watching this review of an interesting Hungarian fountain pen. As always, I wish you to have a nice day. If you've enjoyed the review, please support me by subscribing to my channel, and I promise you that I will bring you more affordable school fountain pens and vintage fountain pens, and I will share them with you. Thank you very much, and bye bye.